All right, so I mixed up the steel stick really good, and it's really tacky right away. It starts curing, so it's a two-part epoxy. And so I have a little piece of cardboard here that I can set the pieces on. So I'm going to break it up into four pieces, two pieces for the torso, two pieces for the pelvis. One that I can press from the front, the other I can press from the back. Now, when I did this, I was trying to squeeze the putty into the threads really well, and I might have not been the best idea. I don't know, it was sticking to my gloves. So I've seen it where you just take the two balls and press them together front and back and leave it and you're done. But for this one, I was trying to get it into the threads. So the red mark that I made prior was with the thinner armature wire, the really skinny one. And so for this thicker armature wire, if you go to bend it into position, it's going to flex harder against the steel stick. So I went with a bigger ball for the pelvis than the red mark that I made previously. So, which is fine as long as there's a nice bend in the middle, in between the pelvis and the rib cage, so you could get that flex, and you can always, use your clay to accentuate any gesture in the form. So I'm gonna pressing it really tight up underneath the crotch, and I'm pressing it into the threads from the front and the back, and what I'll do later here is I'll get it kind of started pinching it from the front. So that's the kind of more traditional way. I would have take the two balls, just pinch them front and back, and just leave it and be done. But because the threads are so big for the scale of this model, I felt it necessary to get it in there. So I'd probably add a little more even, but his hips are really narrow, so I got to be careful. You can sand it, you can drill it, you can cut it back down, but it will crumble. You'll weaken it. So now this is the hardest part. You got to remember to put the shoulder and arms. I put them in the back. I found that when you put them in the front and you put the clay on, that sternum area and clavicle comes to the surface a lot quicker than you might think, and you end up having some metal showing and having to sand it back to cover it with clay. So I think putting it in the back is the right way to do it. So here's more traditional. So I have one ball in the front, one ball in the back, and I press. And now as you're pressing, it's shifting all over the dang place. It's going all over. So what I would do is I would take your floral wire and I would twine and lash the arms into position with the spine first, and then I put the clay on. So that's my mistake there. I thought I could just wing it, and I discovered that it was curing. It was sticking to my gloves more than the metal because I had to go switch my gloves really quickly so it would stop sticking to my fingers. Each time I pressed, as I pulled back, it would stick to my finger and pull. So make sure you bring enough gloves for Saturday. Bring a couple pair of disposable gloves. I'll have a couple extra, but not enough for everyone. So, and then yeah, same thing. As I'm pressing it in there, it's raising up and sliding. It's slipping and sliding all over the darn place because I didn't lash it with the floral wire first. So, but you see, I got it in the threads there. Probably not all that helpful. And I'm bending the arms out to give myself some more space. I probably should have done that first as well. So there's a real task here of having it shifting and moving and wiggling side to side. So you want to flatten it and you want to pinch it. You want to get it as close into shape as possible and bulk it up down lower and in the front and the back so that it's going to be down around the abdomen area, so not up around the sternum where it's going to, like I said, it's going to show through. And then I'm kind of positioning it and finding that it slid up. I think it's going to be okay there though. Yeah, so just kind of pinch it. And then I'm going to take away, after I got it in there, I'm going to go ahead and grab a popsicle stick here and I'm going to pull back away from the threads. You could do this a little afterwards with an X-Acto blade or whatever, but the more I have it firmly in there and let it cure all the way and get all the way rock hard before in the right position, the better. So it's a little much up into the stomach and the pelvic region. It's a little much up into where I want it to bend for the uh, shoulder scapular region, but I think that's going to be okay like that. All right, and then just position it where there's no stress on any part.